What are some of the ways teens can fight global poverty from within their own environment?
One of the things that I think today's teenagers are really good at is starting specific projects that will make a difference abroad instead of in supporting some kind of symbolic protest that feels good but doesn't make a specific difference in people's lives. Last night, for example, I met a girl who started a group called, I'll tell you, called A Spring of Hope. Brittany Young. And in high school, she started this group which essentially builds wells for schools in Africa. And this is not going to solve the world's problems of bad water. It's not going to solve education problems in Africa or the world. But for a few specific schools, it's going to mean that they're going to get water when they didn't have it before. And that's a real difference. And I think that there are a lot of young people who are not being put off by the vastness of the challenges, but are making these incremental differences in real places. And I think that's the way to go.
Given all the problems with poverty, education, illness, and women's rights in the U.S., why do you think it's so important to cover these issues in developing nations?
I don't think it should be either or. I think we need to address problems at home, but in the same way that I don't think we should only care about our families and not ignore the neighborhood or the state or other states, I think we also need to address problems internationally. They're also part of our larger family. And often you can get the most bang for the buck and the needs are most acute internationally when you've got people dying for lack of, girls losing 10 to 15 IQ points because they're not getting iodine in their salt for about 5 cents a year. That's something we can really make a difference on really cheaply. Or when kids have intestinal worms because they're not getting a 50-cent pill, a deworming pill, then that's the attraction of a lot of the international interventions, that they're just so cheap and make such a difference.
Other than Half the Sky, what books do you think every teenager should read before graduating from high school?
I'm not sure there's sort of any, one kind of master list. I do think that in high school it's important to engage different worlds. And so whether that is fiction or nonfiction, I think some kind of effort to learn about and be placed in, it can be it can be a slum in the wrong side of the tracks in your own city, or it can be a book about a place halfway around the world. But I think trying to cross bridges like that, I think, is really important. For example, right now my column for Thursday is going to be about a book which is probably somewhere over there, about a 10-year-old Yemeni girl who was married and then went off to the courthouse and got a divorce by herself. She became one of the world's youngest divorcees at age 10. And that's an example of, I think, opening our eyes to a different world and understanding that while cultures are different, there is that common thread of humanity. But I think it's also important that the book be interesting to somebody and engaging. And I think different people will find different topics engaging. So I'd hesitate to say you got to read this and more just encourage people to go browse and read and find things that really speak to them.